and welcome to Drodeo's Brain. Ryan, could you walk us through this mock?
Yeah, so this is the first edition of what we're thinking of, something that Project Anagata would look like. And Erica, like you said, this is Drodeo's virtual brain page. I'm not sure if we'll call it that exactly, but this is the place you'd be able to go to ask anything about what Drodeo knows about. So we have his most knowledgeable topics here, which are startups, maybe investing, van life, sailing, cooking, motorcycles, and we're going to add parenting after this. Some commonly asked questions, so questions that people most commonly ask when they come to Drodeo's page. So how do I start a startup, which is pretty big, but it's a big question. And then what certifications do I need to charter a yacht, something like that. And then this is the chat where Drodeo's virtual brain is actually talking to you and where you can talk back to it and ask questions. So right now, if I ask a question, which I'm just going to enter whatever, but when I submit it, it says, Chatting with Virtual Brains isn't quite ready yet, but we're working on it. And let us know at secretproject@storytell.ai what you would want to see out of this functionality.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's pretty basic functionality, but this is a working website, so hopefully we can ship this today. Yeah. It's not a high-risk change, so I don't see why we can't.
Yeah. Exciting. I think in terms of, what questions do we have for folks watching this? What's the onboarding look like here? How do you know what to do? And then also, what do you want to know about from Drodeo, too? Yeah.
Ryan, what are you imagining if I click on startups? What would happen? Is that a kind of like, if I click on startups, does it show me commonly asked questions specifically about startups, for example? Or how do those tags work, basically?
I hadn't thought too much about that. That's a good idea. I could see these being like filters almost, where you click it and then it would highlight the one or multiple that you clicked, and then those commonly asked questions could change based on that. Mm-hmm. And then we're starting to talk about the knowledge graph stuff, so I could see that as an option as well, where maybe there would be some type of visual hierarchy or a graph based on those topics or something like that. But that's a little down the road. But I would want to make them interactive somehow.
Another interesting thing to get feedback from users around is, if a user clicks startups here, then maybe there's a way to show all the people that have knowledge about startups, not just Drodeo. So, I could just keep chatting with Drodeo, but when I click on startups, there could be something that shows here's 10 people that have a lot of deep expertise around startups like Drodeo does. And then I have the option to maybe go up one level from Drodeo to the startups theme or topic. And then I can just be chatting with everyone. So it's kind of a way to dive in and out of just at the specific user level.
Right. Like that. Totally.
Yeah, I think very similar to TikTok in that way of just tagging by topic. And then maybe through a topic, you want to go deeply into an individual.
Yeah,
right. I also just want to mention, once you send a message and you're actually talking with the brain, I could see this top section kind of collapsing up because once you already know what to ask or you already have your questions, you probably don't need to see all this. So I could see it kind of moving up or collapsing into a smaller section or something that would open back up if you click an icon or a button or something like that. But basically, we want people to have a lot more space for the chatting part and the results that'll show up in the chat. So just want to mention that will collapse.
Yeah, and since we've gotten such positive feedback with the web app and the 3 suggested prompts based on the content, I just wonder how although there's maybe not specific content here to be pulling from, the mechanics of it would be different, to have suggested questions as a way to get the conversation started.
And by suggested questions, Erica, do you mean beyond the commonly asked, how do I do a startup? Or what would they be anchored around?
That's a good question. I think I'm moving to a maybe far off future where it's often to both people's systems, based on your interests. Actually, this is where that connects with this LLM. It's the LLMs almost talking to each other.
That's a cool idea, sure. Yeah. Here's what you might like learning from Drodeo in this case, for example. That's I don't know that that's all that far off in the future, right? because I think it's probably likely that people that use this will probably also have creator profiles. So that might be an interesting way to, I mean, that could be something we could start marketing pretty quickly. Yeah, so it'd be good to get feedback from users around that. Also, so I'm wondering if the commonly asked should be below the, maybe not. I kind of like how you segmented a little bit of like grayscale there around like the chat area versus not. So this definitely is a try, which for sure is awesome. And you know, one thing that I would love, just kind of like Apple and Siri, like Siri's alive, you know, like somehow having some like aliveness with the icon. You know, I don't know what that looks like. If it's just like a glowing, you know, like,
glowing orb.
Backdrop or drop shadow, or
Right.
you know, like a purple and blue rotating going kind of behind the image. It's like it's thinking, it's processing. I don't know, just stuff that make it feel alive.
Yeah.
That's something we could also ask Greg about too.
Right. Okay.
You know,
But yeah, this is awesome.
You know what else I'm thinking, just in terms of making chat come alive and this direction or this focus, is folks have been asking for months, like, oh, I want to be able to chat, you know, like at least dictate, you know, to use my voice and not just have to type, and so forth. So yeah, bringing in audio capabilities here, at least from the person interacting with the LLM.
Yeah, that's a very good call out. And in fact, that with people that will chat in mobile, if we enable chat in mobile, we can use like voice dictation to chat with. So that would be very smooth experience.
And getting audio, I mean, this gets us to the full duplex feature, right?
Yeah,
so,
we can add like audio in phone. Yeah, some website they can record with audio as well.
but I'm saying it even responds back, like it just does like text to speech.
Right, and that's totally doable.
Yeah. So we should make a document around that. And again, since we're making a video for users, how important would it be to you to be able to chat with this virtual brain?
Yeah, and also for users, and I have one more question. And to set in a table, we're also segmenting users to be two groups of users depending on the need. One is called creator, is the person who will create these pages, like in this case Julio, but you imagine that you also have your own profile in which you can curate your own visual brain. The other one is users who come to other people's pages to chat with them. So this question is specific for creators. So for creators, if you look at this view, we see there's several topics: startups, investing, van life, selling, cooking, motorcycles. How we generate that is actually ingesting some contents and getting those topics from that. The question for you is that, would you prefer that just sign in with all of your system, like Google, Gmail, Dropbox, and automatically generating those tags or the topics that you're knowledgeable about? Or would you prefer more manual way, like you want to curate?
Right.
It's kind of aspirational yourself.
Right.
So which one would you prefer? Do you want to like offset and just review yourself, like based on the data, so you do network on that? Or you want to like curate and creating an aspirational version of yourself?
Well, and so that's a really good question. And another question would be, it could be that we say, well, Storytell isn't going to let you make things up. Let's just say that we draw that as a line. Like, this is what you actually know. But you could remove things, right? You could remove tags, but you can't add tags. Like, if you haven't loaded in knowledge that shows that you have expertise about something, you can't just say that you're an expert in something. So it kind of depends on what direction we want to take this in. It's really good to understand from users. Like, would you trust this system? Thank you. Would you trust this system more if people can't make things up?
Yeah.
You know, it's based on the knowledge that you've loaded in.
That's a good question. I feel like that's a question about Facebook or MySpace.
Exactly, yeah.
Question. Yeah.
Okay, what else? I've got one more thing, but who else has other questions, thoughts?
Go for it.
My last thing is just like virtual brain sounds, I don't know, like kind of clinical, like, but I don't know what the better term is. We've talked about like intellect, we've talked about knowledge, not bringing knowledge alive. I'm just looking at like, a thesaurus, there's like acumen, genius, intelligence, ability. But something that just sounds a little sexier to me than a virtual brain. A virtual brain sounds like a very kind of mechanistic.
Yeah.
It's like descriptive, that's what's good. It's like, oh, it's a virtual brain, I get it quickly. Like that's really valuable to get it quickly. But then also it's kind of like, I don't know, it just doesn't sound like, hey, Jing, go and talk to my virtual brain, It's like...
Yeah,
I think,
definitely, yeah.
I agree. I mean, there was, and I think great to hear from users and potential users, what would it make sense for this to be called? So we put forward like little v Drodio is like virtual Drodio, like talk to my virtual self. I mean, I think more mechanistic could be neural network, and also probably not 100% accurate. But Glow, you referred to it as a bot, like, oh, I'm talking to the Drodio bot. But is that, not humanistic enough? So, yeah, what represents this in a way that's clear, but it's also something you want to connect with?
Yeah, I think this is a real opportunity for users to help us name this thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. This is
The hardest thing is naming, and user will looking for your advice.
Definitely some sexy name. I mean, I kind of like this doesn't answer that question, but like, I kind of like that tagline that I put, like, talk to me. Like kind of inviting people in to like have a conversation.
Yeah, and there's another big part here is like when we're talking about project together, there's also like ask the human. Like if there's a way that talk to me that indicates that you can talk with my virtual self a little bit, but really what behind drive is talk to me. Yeah.
Right, and so there's some kind of an opportunity to schedule a call or some sort of a gated mechanism that allows for the person to actually reach the real human. It's almost like this is a way to gain context before you talk to the human. You can talk to the, whatever we're calling it, it's the virtual brain. To gain context, you can have a good conversation with the human. So we don't really have any sort of that built into this yet. But this is an awesome start, man.
Yeah.
Really awesome. I think, like, I'd say definitely we should ship this, and like if we can think of like one iteration on the virtual brain. Like I think even if it just said talk to me or something, or like 30th knowledge, alive. I don't know.
I think I could see a like, hi, I'm Drodio, and maybe there's a link to like your website or something, and then it just says talk to me, and then
But if we do that, maybe we play around with that. I guess we can stop the video here.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
But
y'all.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
Thank you.